Welcome back.
I've been making this one for 5 years. Why are we doing this with 68-year-old men out there that aren't even wearing glasses?
Welcome back. For the last time, I am Aaron Smith, joined by the one half of the Bearcat brunch, Jeff Howell. He is back after a 6-week hiatus or something.
Yeah.
And Ed Mayhall, the self-proclaimed best producer in the city, hanging him up while he's on top.
The leader. He's the leader of fun.
He's
taking advantage of StreamYard's new
feature.
New feature where you can give yourself a title. You can you can be like the executive producer of all things BCJ if you want, right underneath your name there, Aaron.
I could. But in any case, this was quite a ride, and Ed and I started this little show here 5 years ago. What, yesterday? Was that what I was seeing on Facebook?
Yesterday. Yeah,
5 years ago, yesterday. It grew from a band of two to a tripod featuring Jeff.
it's a weird way of putting it.
You're welcome. But it was quite a ride. We started when Cincinnati we had a funeral for the Cincinnati Bearcats as they lost a game that we don't talk about. And here we are 5 years later, all with kids. I know me personally, I have gone through a divorce. I lived in Columbus for a minute. I am now in Athens. I have a daughter. I have a wonderful little family here. Ed, I don't know, how old's Bryce now?
He's 5, so he was just born when we started, I think.
So right around that same time.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you joined us 2-3 years ago now?
About 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It would have been like June of 20, because it was, I kind of count the Reds fan roundtable when we went like virtual. You guys went like virtual for all the pandemic stuff. Like you guys couldn't really get together in the basement or whatever, and
right,
we did that fan roundtable. I think Ron was on that. I don't know. Was Clay on the first one?
Clay may have been on the first one.
I think Clay was on the first one. We did like 2 of those, and you guys were like, "Hey, like, do you think you can like etch out some time on Tuesday night and do this like regular?" And about 2.5 years. So this is a little bit regular here, huh?
Oh yeah, Curl's always popping in.
Piper.
She's very sad right now. I don't know if she needs something or not, but yeah. So it's been like 2.5 years. Came in just thinking that we were gonna, kind of have a little bit of fun. It kind of grew very, very large from there, as far as I'm concerned, from what we were able to accomplish. And then Chad came along and kind of reached out about the Bearcat brunch thing with Dave, and that was a lot of fun last year. So I hope that I could still be able to do that. And this kind of sucks. Like this, I don't know how many people over in the chat saw the thing we posted over the weekend. It was obviously after the UC game. I see a lot of people saying, gonna miss the show. Like people that were posting that like, hey, Wednesday mornings aren't gonna be the same. This is not necessarily something that we really hadn't been talking about this coming to an end. There's just some things that
Life happens.
that happen. Like Ed's got his kids running them all over God's creation, doing everything out there. And
Ed's coaching every sport they play for
every
some awful reason.
That's the he's like Will Ferrell in what's that soccer movie like that?
Kicking and screaming.
Yeah, like
that's
Ed's
Aaron's
coaching
favorite movie.
everything, and I changed roles at work, and so my hours are kind of messed up right now. So I mean, maybe down the line if my hours change or something else happens, like we can revisit something else. I don't think PTP will ever be a thing again, just because we got to kind of leave it enshrined as what it is and what we were able to do here.
Yeah, put a bow on it for what it's worth. We ended up with, I don't know, we're at something like 150 episodes.
170.
170. All right, cool.
Maybe.
We had some kick-ass guests over the years with Sean Casey, Melvin Levitt, Mo Egger, Dan
Clay
Horde,
Snowden.
Clay Snowden.
Clay called me tonight and asked me how many cheese cooners I was eating.
It's fair. 9 and a puke.
I'm on a diet. I'm not eating any cheese cooners tonight.
I don't know. We had Coriante DeBerry. We did stuff with the TB. What was the basketball? The TBT. This is where I got my start and ended up working with Chad from what we started in Ed's basement as a 2-person podcast. So this is bittersweet. Just as, like I said, life happens, and I'm working with Chad, potentially putting a new project together, and maybe as that comes together, we'll start putting some details out there. But like Jeff said, I don't know that we'll do the PTP iteration, and I know you guys don't. Neither of you. I've not talked to either of you about that project yet, but yeah, just this was fun, a fun ride.
It was. I mean, I've had a blast. I was still having a blast up until I had to kind of change some things around, and I think that kind of started the maybe the discussions. But really, like I said, like this was over the last probably 5-6 days that we were like, do we want to keep trying to force something, shoehorn some things in that aren't doing justice to what you guys started and what we then built as a crew here. So if things have to end, we want to kind of do it on our own terms, and I hope everybody, like I said, there were so many like nice things said on Twitter, like whenever we posted the little goodbye message or the like we're closing it down thing, and so yeah, it just
that's been my Twitter experience the past couple of days too. A lot of nice things said.
Yeah. Chad disagrees. So yeah, UCF superfan, we this is it. This is the last hurrah of PTP, at least under this moniker. And for the foreseeable future.
Kick Nerby in the chat, and he wishes us well. He had some nice things to say on Twitter. Another guest we had, and he's launched his own thing. He's doing his own thing with Chatterbox. But yeah, I mean, I know Clay gave us quite a nice tribute as well.
Hey, Clay's doing other big giant great things as well. Like
over there, just baseball.
We didn't do a. I'm going to toot our own horn here. Like we did a whole lot of good, I think, in the space of folks that like we didn't. I can't remember anybody ever like reaching out to us necessarily, or us like reaching out to somebody that and like turning them down, or not giving like not that we had the greatest reach or the biggest show or anything like that, but like I think we did a pretty good job of identifying some folks, bringing them on, letting them have like some time, and then they've kind of expanded and done some great things. And I thought our interview episodes, like if people want to go back, I think a lot of our interview episodes go above and beyond, and you can listen to them for as long as you want down the road and still get some really good information out of them. Because I think we did an amazing job with our interviews.
I agree.
Super fan bringing up a very good point. Wondering if we ever considered doing a show while sitting in a hot tub. Actually, we did talk about doing a show in Jeff's hot tub when he first got it.
Well, Ed also has joined the Grand Theft Auto role playing. So he's going to actually do those shows from a hot tub in his basement.
Where'd I get the hot tub from?
I don't know, but I think the people want it. You got to get
people want it. I guess I got to get a hot tub. One of those inflatable ones from the Sam's Club or something like that. Yep. Who knows?
You got all those cutoff shirts that you can wear in the little 1-person hot tub there in your basement. So just make sure you got a proper ventilation system for the.
That'd be a nice work from home perk down here.
You don't want black mold.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if Ed's got sounds queued up for tonight. I don't know if he's got any of that ready to go. But Steve's dog is asleep and waiting for a loud sound effect.
That's funny. I don't know, Ed, before we get into topics, any last words that you have to say? I know you started this with me, and I feel like you've been the quietest.
Wow, I've been thinking about that. I've been at this training all day. I've had to use my head. I was thinking about that on the ride home. I don't know. It's been. I think you guys said it all. It's been fun. Aaron, I appreciate you. When I sent you the text message, hey, we should start a podcast, and you said, I think you didn't respond. I think you left me on unread or read or whatever.
You didn't have an iPhone, so I can promise you didn't know that I read it. You only just got an iPhone.
Yeah, I just got an iPhone. And then we decided to do this thing. I mean, it took us 2 hours to do the first episode in my basement because I thought I had everything figured out and I didn't.
Surprise.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. Who would have known? And then to Jeff coming on, she's back. To Chad taking a chance on us. I appreciate Chad doing that. Everyone who listened in, everyone who's made fun of me for puking, eating conies. I don't know what else to say. I appreciate everybody though.
Eloquently put, as only you can.
Yeah, appreciate it. And that's 60 seconds of Ed saying thank you.
Ed, if you had some like really long, drawn out, like typed up thing, I would have been like, where is the real Ed? Right.
Wild.
So yeah, I mean, like look, here's the thing though, like, and I know Chad said it about us before, like about these things, like when we did the 100th episode, which I still need to get my bottle from you, Ed. But is it back there behind yours?
Yeah.
There a lot of these things, like people put together podcasts and they fizzle out within quickly. A couple months at the most, or like maybe a couple weeks. They do an episode or two. This isn't easy. Like people can say what they want or whatever. Like putting together a podcast is not easy, especially when it's not our job. It's not like the only thing we do. Putting it together every week and making the time and cutting out time to at least look at some topics here and there that we could try to like speak on and have some sort of knowledge about, and at least make the presentation as good as we can do with what we've got. Like I'm really proud and sad at the same time that this is all coming to an end. And there is our good buddy Clay.
Hey guys, so I wasn't actually going to jump on here at all, but I wanted to talk about all the Reds moves real quick and totally just
have at it. Get the topic change, Ed.
Hey, so yeah, so I it was funny, and I know I've told my story on here before, but I just want to tell it again because I think it's appropriate as we walk down the memory lane of PTP. And I just remember, I think it was your all's official account. I don't think it was Ed or Aaron. DM'd me, and this is like, so I started this Reds account because I wanted to write about the Reds. I was writing for Locked On Reds. I didn't even have a picture on my like avatar at that time. I was just like Reds logo type guy, like right off the bat. And I guess
Kevin would have been so proud of you.
I might have switched to the picture by then, but I remember I just started my account. I was just not very new, and I was so nervous, and I was like, yeah, for sure, I'll come on, no problem. Like, I knew what I was doing. And I remember, like, that day of, one of you all just said in the message, like, hey, like, here's what's to expect, here's the rundown, and have you listened to our podcast before? And, of course, I hadn't. So I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course I have. Yeah, I know exactly, like, the vibe of it, and, I know exactly what to say, and I had no idea. And I remember I was sitting there in my chair. It was over the phone, and I was, like, kind of, like, shaking and a little bit nervous at times. And but, man, it's been so fun coming on here. I look forward to it every single time. And I met Jeff during that round table during COVID, and I think Ron was on there, and I think maybe one other person was kind of coming in and out, or a few different people, but it's just been a hell of a ride, and it's been a lot of fun for me, not only to join, but to listen and learn a thing or two about, the Bearcats and the Bengals, and even come on here to talk about the Buffalo Bills at one point, which, what a bizarre change of events that is. But some highlights have definitely been pretty much just Ed. And the reason why Ed is the highlight is because there's nothing I enjoy more than over the years. We'll be in a discussion. It's usually Aaron, like, guiding the discussion like he's guiding a yacht, like perfectly done. And I look over and I see Ed just like kind of like, you can tell he's on Twitter. He's, doing anything but paying attention. And at that moment, I would like to put Ed on the spot. Hey, Ed, what do you think about this player or whatever? And the best thing about it is not only is Ed caught off guard, but even if he was paying attention, he doesn't know shit about the player. So it's always just like my favorite thing in the world to put Ed on the spot. He's been a good sport about it.
I don't know any of the Louisville guys.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun though, and it's been fun to meet Ed and Aaron on a couple of different occasions, and Jeff's still a mystery to me, but maybe one day, hopefully in the right setting. Sometimes you can meet Jeff in the bad setting.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Hey, remember that time Latos was with you?
Oh, that's right. When you were on your back porch.
Yeah, smoking a cigar with Latos.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to hop on real quick and say thank you all, and I wish you all nothing but the best, and, we'll stay in touch for sure. And, Jeff, we're going to meet each other. We're going to knock back Nats at some point, watch a Reds game, you, and Aaron, and it'll be a good time. All right, see you guys.
I caught on to that. I was paying attention that time.
Appreciate you, Clay.
See you, Clay.
That was our unofficial fourth.
Yeah. So I don't know. You want to hit a topic change thing, and we can fly into something at least. And I'm sure people are tired of hearing a bellyache about how.
Yes.
So the Bearcats season is over.
Well,
the regular season is over. They are in the NIT. They are hosting a game tomorrow night at 9:00 against Virginia Tech. And it seems they will be playing Hofstra, who upset Rutgers as the second team out, according to the NCAA bracketologists.
Well,
so
they say.
First and foremost, where do you want to start in this conversation?
I want to start with this. The other night when you and Chad had my days get all mixed up because I'm working nights now, so like it could have been last night.
The watch party?
I guess it was 2 nights ago. Yeah. Sunday night, right?
Sunday night watch party.
So as like I was like half listening as I was like at work and like doing things.
That's funny because we were like half podcasting.
A couple times I thought that it had like my phone had died, but really
it's just silence.
just silence.
Well, it's really hard to do a live
get
show as they're slow about putting these brackets
Yeah.
up, and you're just waiting. But go on.
Steve was not ready for the change.
I don't worry, Steve. There'll be more.
But I thought like a couple things that were making me laugh was like the NIT is this thing where, you know, growing up in Cincinnati, like it didn't seem like a real tournament. It didn't seem like this real thing that happened because, like, you know, UC just wasn't. It like the NIT was not something that, like,
it was in our vocabulary,
right? I mean, do you agree?
Didn't aspire. Yeah, you didn't aspire to go to the NIT.
Like,
no.
It was one of those things where you're like, yeah. So, yeah, as they go around the brackets, like you guys are talking about it, you're like, what is the? It's like the West bracket, the prestigious top right bracket,
Which
like,
somebody brought up at some point.
Other.
Somebody brought up at some point in the last couple of nights between whether it was on Twitter or whether it was in the comment section, just that it's the only actual tournament that is based on regions. Like it's literally based on regions, and they don't even have a name for they have top left bracket, top right bracket.
We're in the top right bracket.
Correct.
Prestigious.
I think Chad added prestigious to the top right bracket. I think that was his thing. And I think you guys obviously broke down the game fairly well. I think Virginia Tech is somewhere in the 80s, and their like defense is like way up in the 150s, but their offense is in the top 30. Is that
offense
right?
Offense is really good.
So you got that. I think I heard Chad say that they allow something like 33 or 34% from three, which could play right into the Bearcats, you know, ability to shoot from there. Obviously, the biggest issue that the Bearcats have had all season has just been consistency. Putting together entire games, and then when they are able to put together a whole game, following it up in the next game by being able to put something in the semblance of a basketball game together. And you saw it in the last two games of the conference tournament. They put together a very good game, and then they come out and make 13 baskets in an entire game with, you know, against a wounded Houston team. So
not ideal.
Let me also start this by saying I said at the beginning of the season that this Bearcats team would win 20 games. That was what I said was going to be that was kind of my line in the sand of like, is this a successful year? And I really think they could have won 24 games. There were several games they shot themselves in the foot. There were games where they just didn't apparently show up. And they won 20 games plus the one in the conference tournament. You're at 21. People can bellyache and say what they want about, you know, where the program's at and where it's heading, where they think things are. Did we aspire to be in the NIT this year? No. We're there. The chance to continue for some of these guys to continue to get some reps this season, finish it out. We got some big names coming in next year.
That's what Wes hit on in his presser as well. Like, you have an opportunity for Kalu and for Dave to put some more tape out for potential teams wherever they end up next year to play some more ball. But they have that opportunity to continue to work on their craft. You also have guys that may be coming back. They may not be coming back that want the same thing. Like, you have an opportunity to continue to develop Dan Skillings or see what you have in, you know, the five guys that may or may not move on between Odie and JD and Micah and Newman's not coming, obviously, but and Landers. So I don't know. It's an intriguing situation for them. Wes talked about the NIT being a prestigious tournament. I mean, in all seriousness, like, there's still a championship to be played for. You're still playing good competition. I mean,
Crypt Keeper brings up a good point. I guess maybe the NIT was, in fact, I don't know the history of it, but I would assume that it probably was a pretty big tournament until the NCAA tournament became like.
Well, right.
It was the first tournament, wasn't it?
And the NCAA tournament grew, and the NIT was kind of looked at as an afterthought at that point in time until the CBI came around. And then everybody was like, the NIT is not so bad if we can stay out of the CBI.
It's true. I remember that. Those early years of Cronin.
And more of the thing, like the things that I like kind of think about, like you think about those things, but like, look, it's a postseason tournament. Is it the one you wanted to be in? Probably not, but you're in it. Like you have the opportunity to play for another championship. I mean, I know people are joking about, do you hang a banner or whatever? Like, well, you probably put up something if you
Wes
win the
brought
whole
it
thing.
Up. It is what it is. I mean, and it's not in Madison Square Garden
Anymore.
It's going to be in Vegas this year, Tonk. But I don't know. I don't care if they put a banner in the rafters or not. I think that you should recognize accomplishments for what it is. But I know some people were upset with the idea because Xavier put one up that we should not put a banner up if we do win. Let's get there first. Let's actually win the tournament first before we're talking about banners that may or may not exist.
Yeah. I mean,
all roads lead to the NIT championship, lead through Cincinnati / Norwood.
I mean, they've got a obviously I haven't like studied a bunch of these teams here, but when the
so I was looking at the bracket
when the number one overall seed or the number one, I don't know how they even pick their number one overall seeds here. It's probably Clemson or Oregon. I don't know. It's all out of whack here, but yeah,
Oregon was number one.
You're the number one seed, and you're in the top right bracket is gone. You've got the 4. You got a decent shot. You got to play good basketball. They can play well enough to beat probably every team in this tournament. They can do that. They can also play bad enough to lose to teams that aren't in the CBI.
Hofstra.
So that's the consistency thing that can rear its head here, and hopefully UC goes out and
I read on Twitter earlier today just a little bit ago. I don't remember who it came from, so whoever it was, I'm sorry. But they said that if we play Hofstra, it's giving them some real NKU vibes.
Well, I mean, what's the other thing that was going on? I don't know if Chad's listening.
He looks like he's on the phone.
Yeah, he's on the phone.
But I know he said that if when you guys were talking about it, if Hofstra were to upset Rutgers, which has obviously happened, and UC beats Virginia Tech, typically the first 2 rounds are played at home.
Yeah, we can't do that.
I guess there's some scheduling or some.
So it can't. We found out tonight. We talked about it on the nightcap. So you wouldn't have heard that yet. But they are apparently going to be redoing some of the floors.
Oh.
On the basketball court.
I can tell you, as somebody on a small athletic board for an elementary, middle school level place, that it's like ridiculously difficult to get somebody right now to redo basketball floors. And I'm sure that they probably obviously could do it whenever, but like
they may or may not. Who knows? I don't know. But they may or may not be switching out a logo.
Right. I mean,
because they want some things to be in place for graduation.
Oh, Greg's going to be in that April.
Yeah, your brother, the Xavier fan, graduating from UC.
Pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
We could have the second game at Heritage Bank.
I don't know what they're going to do.
Can't have it in KU. There's things happening there.
I don't know where. I mean,
Cincinnati State.
They'll figure something out.
Yep. Well, got to win it first. Got to win it first before you're even worried about it. Put it in the field house. The field house. I don't know if you've been to the field house lately, but there is no playing basketball in the field house.
Find an open court on campus somewhere. Play it outdoors.
Let's construct a court on down at the Banks again.
There's not a single day in the forecast above 50.
I know.
For like tomorrow. The next 10 days.
Tomorrow's actually the very last day.
But yeah, I think they got a puncher's chance. Obviously, maybe more than a puncher's chance against Virginia Tech. I think it's going to depend on what Dave shows up, because the Dave that showed up in the tournament has not been great. I believe they have one game at home, Deanna. But yeah, we obviously need Dave as a leader to be just that, back at home for one more go. And then
Steven says, let's put a basketball court on Fenway Field. Let's exercise the Louisville football demons.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're getting the grass ready for baseball in Fenway, which isn't easy to do. When
roll in there, like flatten a spot to put a basketball court in the middle there.
They may very well may be able to rent Heritage Bank for $12 an hour, Tonk. That's accurate.
Stop. Carrie Wood just played there last week.
Man, that's probably like the worst spot that she played on her entire tour.
Absolutely, probably is. You're correct.
So they got to get done, and on to the next. Hopefully they give a win to the fans. As much as people want to talk shit on Twitter, on social media, in regular conversations at the bar or with their friends, a win is important to this team in the NIT. It's important to Wes. It's important to recruiting. It's important to everything. You win, you get another one. Yeah. You win another one, and all of a sudden you're in Vegas in the Final Four of the NIT. Figure it out.
See you later, Land Big. Thanks for swinging by. We appreciate it, as always.
I just want to see, this is how I want to see it go down. I want to see UCF beat Florida, and it end up being UCF versus UC in the championship game. Then we beat UCF. Never to see him again.
I wonder if the athletic conference would give us a, hey, good job, UC, for everything that you gave to the conference, since they apparently were slobbering all over the Houston Cougars in their goodbye to the basketball.
What's that
team.
all about? Like we were more successful in this damn league than.
Oh, I do want to say a couple things though, because obviously I haven't been on the show in a while, but I was able to go to senior night. I was down at senior night.
Oh yeah.
And just a couple things. For one, my oldest thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Being down there, there was a football. One of the football trucks was like, I guess like the semi or whatever was backed up. So he was like, can I get my picture there? I mean, he wore his Sauce Gardner jersey that he's got. It's not like an official Sauce Gardner jersey. It's just I think they only sell a number 1 jersey in youth size. So, but that's his favorite player of all time. So he's got it.
It works.
Yeah. So we got to go down there for that. And then we went, when we got inside, he's like, can I get a Coney? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Let's go get a Coney's. And I mean, I guess any more Conies are like $4 at Skyline, so it's not that big of a markup. But they're like $5 a Coney inside that place. So yeah, he gets 2 of those. I only say this because then we turn around, like we eat those before the game starts. We see the senior introduction, whatever. There's a concession stand right by where we're at. So we're waiting in line. He's like, going up to get a drink, and I see that they have. I'm like, hey, they've got Skyline chili cheese nachos and Skyline chili cheese fries. Which one what do you want? He was like, oh, let's do the fries. So I'm expecting it like in one of like because I can see that they have fries in like the little boat, the little cardboard boat, the tiny one. Dude, it is the best deal in the entire building. It is like this big, and it was $8. It was $8, and they load it with fries and then cheese all the way, like the Skyline style, like handful. And maybe it was just the people that were making it back there, but like the size of the cardboard boat they were putting it in, it's the best deal going. handed him a fork. It took him the whole first half to eat it. And he's like getting towards the end, and he kind of looked like Ed trying to eat conies. And I was like, hey, there's people sitting around us, buddy. But like, there's a couple older ladies, probably like in their, I don't know, like their 60s, that were like sitting next to us, that were like, I mean, everything. They must have been going to UC basketball games and basketball games across the country for their entire lives. Like, they knew all the like ins and outs of, you know, what was going on, what was being called, what wasn't being called, and if it wasn't being called and it was it would have been in favor of UC, like, these ladies were giving it to the refs from, you know, the section all the way up at the top. Like, it was a good time. We had a blast. I don't really hadn't got an opportunity to get down there in a couple of years, and to be able to take him down there and see that kind of stuff was a whole lot of fun. And obviously, it's going to be even more fun when maybe they have a different uniform provider, and possibly, and then they're moving into obviously the Big 12. So
back in the underneath the bleachers, there's like a cafe or something like that underneath there when you sit on the floors or whatever. They got a giant cinnamon bun that was like only $4. Michelle got that when we sat down there. That's pretty good deal.
They're getting rid of all that when they redo the men's locker room. Real quick though, just want to thank Darren Russell for Darren Russell for swinging in and for listening. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't have a ton else on basketball there, but if you wanted to go ahead and transition. Bengals free agency started.
God, did it ever.
And the only move really worth mentioning is Jermaine Pratt. He has remained a Bengal, and we're all surprised, I think, by this, including BJ Hill, who said that he would actually shave his head if Jermaine Pratt remained a Cincinnati Bengal. And I'm not sure he actually is going to ante up on this one, as he's tried to pretend that his account had been hacked. But let's see. Outside of that, there has been a lot of movement out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, some surprising.
Von Bell leaves, goes to Carolina. Samaje Perine leaves. He goes to Denver. Those, I guess, are the. Oh, Jesse Bates. Yeah, he leaves and goes to Atlanta. We knew Jesse was gone.
Jesse was gone.
That's the one that wasn't surprising. I will say, like, I was a bit when Von Bell, because I'm pretty sure the Von Bell news came out first.
I think that was the first news to drop. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh well, maybe then if like, you know, they were letting Von Bell leave, then maybe, you know, they're re-signing Bates.
Jesse?
And then it was like 3 minutes, I think, in Twitter time, that then Jesse Bates gets announced to a deal with the Falcons that's like it makes him the fourth highest paid safety ever. Yeah,
I'm not mad that they walked away from that deal.
No,
and the craziest part about it is he could have had this same deal, roughly 4 years, $64 million, 2 years ago. But his agent didn't want to re-sign with Cincinnati. He wanted him to be the top paid safety in the league. And if he had taken it 2 years ago, he'd be up for another contract in 2 more years. I don't particularly understand. And maybe at that point, Cincinnati isn't able to do what they did with Jermaine Pratt or something along that line. But as far as his agent goes, I mean, you kind of hosed your player. I mean, granted, he got the franchise tag, but if he had gotten injured, not a good look.
So I don't know, it sounds like Lou Anarumo is kind of like, you know, like this is kind of what it is. You know, obviously not happy ever to lose like productive good
starters,
dudes, right? Like, you're not happy about that.
You also draft Dax Hill for a reason. You're not going to have him riding the bench as a first-round pick for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Or coming in at cornerback play if he really is your safety of the future. So,
and who was the other guy that, like, I've seen his name, Tyson Anderson? His name,
Yeah.
the other safety that they. So like, I mean, obviously I don't think you want to roll into next year to take a phrase from Jermaine Pratt. You know, they were one play from being in the Super Bowl again.
Right.
And I don't know that you want to move on from like you're probably one of the best safety duos in the league to then filling it with, you know, two, we'll go ahead and say it, unproven guys. I mean, that's not a knocker to say that they can't handle it or can't do it or can't perform at a high level, but Dax Hill's maybe, you know, I still wouldn't say he's proven, even if he played a whole year, like a lot of time, a whole year. They've got to go get somebody. I don't know who that somebody ends up being, but I think you have to bring in a veteran to play alongside whichever one ends up winning the other side in training camp. And it's probably gonna be Dax Hill. So you probably got to have another veteran to come in alongside him.
So I feel a couple different ways about how the Bengals have been approaching free agency. First and foremost, I can't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think DJ Reader was the last like guy they got within the first couple days of free agency. They generally steer clear of the first day or two. Even day 3 is kind of a stretch for them to start making moves in free agency. And then they go and make a bunch of mid-level moves as opposed to the wave of big money going around while they're trying to re-sign their own players or restructure deals, which restructuring hasn't really been a thing that happened. But if they are able to get the Joe Mixon deal restructured, which fingers crossed, if he isn't a cap casualty, which I don't see it. I guess it kind of depends, though, if you are able to end up with an Austin Eckler or a Jamal Williams or that have popped up, Derrick Henry.
There's a rumor on Twitter right now that Eckler is at the precinct right now with Joe Burrow.
Well,
God, I love Twitter rumors.
I love Twitter rumors.
I tell you what, with this whole thing shutting down, I mean, obviously if I like continue to do like Bearcat brunch, maybe jump on some other things, like being able to just go ham with some of these Twitter rumors and not like, you know, negatively impact the PTP show or whatever. Like, I mean,
can't wait.
It's insane. Like,
Lyle Collins at the Tri-County Mall.
I'm just gonna start making up graphics about all kinds of stuff. And just, like, I might even fire up like a burner account or something to like get out. I mean, people are insane. This fan base is insane.
I heard Sauce Gardner was on UC's campus today.
Yeah, I think he's coming back.
I think so. I heard. Yeah,
but
he goes to school there.
It's like
coincidence.
I think not.
I think not.
I hate all of it.
But like, so some of these things, people are acting like the Bengals are like doing things outside of like the norm of like, I don't know, maybe the way that they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Well, a year ago, whatever you want to say it like that. So a year ago, they're in the Super Bowl.
2 seasons ago, sure.
This past season, they put together once again another good season where it landed them in the AFC Championship, and like Jermaine Pratt said, a play with like they've earned. We've talked about this because we talked about it with like Luke Fickell and you see like the way that things are going and being handled. Whatnot, like they've earned. I think they've earned some like
trust,
some stock in the fact that like, of course, like. In the past, they had to build this stock, right? Because like they had totally kind of tanked it, bottomed it out. Maybe it was mid-level, whatever you want to say. But like they've earned enough to be able to, I think, people to say like, all right, whatever you're gonna do here, we'll leave it up to you in the way you're gonna operate this. Like we still have you know the wizard, the mad scientist, whatever you want to call it, in Lou Anarumo running this defense, like. We still got Joe Burrow on offense and Jamar Chase, and like we've got these guys. Like there's still dudes here. It's still a good team. Do they need to like maybe go out and make kind of a little bit bigger of a free agency splash than normal? Yeah, they've got some holes. They've definitely got some issues that they need to correct because the offensive line, as good as they had been playing and as like solid as they had been, there was nothing behind it to like fill in holes there. And
you bring up the offensive line, and I think that's why people are freaking out right now is because you saw Kansas City, who had a good offensive line, get better by scrapping Orlando Brown and bringing in what's the name? They brought in a tackle and upgraded essentially for less money. But that's why you see people freaking out, and like obviously
I was wondering. I was going to say anything in the case. Okay.
Hi, Jeff's mom.
Hi, Jeff's mom.
But the Bengals and the Chiefs are doing things very differently in the way that they're structuring their team. The Bengals are putting a lot of pieces around Joe Burrow, and that's where they're investing their money, their draft picks, and those types of things over the course of the last several seasons. Whereas the Chiefs are making sure that Mahomes has the best tight end in the league and a bunch of dudes. And that's it. Dudu Smith-Schuster and
I'm just not ready to like sink the Bengals like ship 2 days into free agency.
Correct. And
like,
again,
before,
it's
like
that's the other part of why I feel differently about this is because I understand like the sky is falling mentality because every Cincinnati fan believes that Cincinnati is always on the wrong side of this because we had so many bad years. But on the other side of it, like you said, they've built enough stock to where this shouldn't be a big deal. And I don't know, like they have generally over the course of the last several seasons, they have waited until the prices come down for dudes. And that's when they start spending their money trying to get good deals and trying to bring in guys on flyers as opposed to let's make a huge splash in free agency.
I wanted to say one thing, and I've let you guys kind of do your thing. First off, I'm gonna miss you, all of you, except Aaron. Can't get rid of him. I can't get rid of him, but it wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. So congratulations on your last show. It's been great so far. Did it say to any of you looking at Von Bell's contract that they weren't as enamored with keeping Von Bell as everyone seemed to think they were? Because that was not an over-the-top contract offer that he got. Like, he's going to be – they have a type. We know this. Like, pay attention to the past. Pay attention to the signs. He was going to be 30 if they signed him to a new deal. At the end of his deal, they don't like that 3 in front of anybody's name. Hell, Jeff, I even question at this point, when Joe Burrow turns 30, are they just going to cut him?
I think they might ignore the 3 on that one.
Okay, they might. But like when you saw that like contract offer, to me, it contradicted everybody saying like the most important thing that they're going to do at the start of free agency is re-sign Von Bell, because I saw his contract and went, well, they could have done that and it wouldn't have like damaged their position through the rest of the market. I think they just said, like they always do, we have a price. We're not going to go beyond that price.
Yeah. And
if you can get beyond that price, like, hey, more power to you. Like, yeah.
I think a lot of it was like, let's be real, like Von Bell, like really like kind of ingratiated himself with the fans.
Sure.
Right. And he played very well. Like,
sure.
There's no doubt about it. He did.
I'm not taking anything away from Von Bell.
Not.
I'm talking about the business of football.
You can make that do business. You can make that same exact argument for Samaje Perine this year, and also for CJ Uzomah last year.
Yeah, like,
but there were going to be 3s in front. Like there were 3s coming.
I think that the way that people thought, like what you said, like the most important, like the one thing they're going to be able to do, they're going to re-sign Von Bell. Like I think a lot of that is maybe coming from folks that were a little more, like you used the word enamored, but like, you know, he kind of struck that vibe of like, you know, he came in here and played, you know, the smash mouth kind of football that we wanted to
Because
see.
he punked out Juju Smith-Schuster.
And he crushes Juju right there in that that game that, you know,
He
a
was
lot
a
of people
fan
look back
favorite.
at.
Absolutely.
And as we all know, Cincinnati, as a fan base in any sport, has a very, very, very hard time letting go of fan favorites.
Yeah,
So, and I think that's why you're like, because you are seeing some like sky is falling kind of things popping up on the Twitter, which you always see. But like, I just thought maybe maybe that's why it's time for me to hang it up, because I didn't think Twitter was gonna implode the way that they're imploding a day and a half into free agency after you've gone to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship back-to-back years.
They don't want.
Go ahead, Ed. Sorry.
Sorry, they don't like getting rid of fan favorites unless your name is Mixon.
I mean,
put yourself
another
in
guy that's gonna have a 3 and a running back that. All you have to do on the running back stuff is just look at Kansas City and what they did with Pacheco, a 7th rounder that became the star there. You can get those
running backs are a dime a dozen
fairly easily. But safety in Lou Anarumo's defense is critically important. I also think there was maybe this belief that, like, okay, Dax Hill is going to be one of those guys. And we need to see what the next 3 or 4 years of the future looks like at safety. And maybe Vaughn wasn't as much of a part of that as we thought he was, because it wasn't going to be a 1-year stopgap. You were going to have to extend him for 3-4 years, and he was going to be in your system another 3 or 4 years. I don't know.
If you can sign a guy for similar money who's on his way up, as opposed to plateauing
at the top,
or with maybe a year at his prime and then on the decline, I get it. Like, that makes sense to me. It just depends on what they do with it. And obviously, as safety is a critical position in this defense, it's got to be somebody who at least has the smarts and the chops to handle that position. You can't just.
They took Bates as a rookie in the 2nd round,
and then they Tyson Anderson in the 5th.
No. Bates when they drafted Jesse Bates.
Oh yeah.
And then they paired him with Bell, and then those two. So maybe you see something very similar. They took Dax Hill as a rookie in the 1st round, and now you pair him with kind of a prove-it guy, which is what Von Bell was coming out of New Orleans. Like, he didn't have a great reputation coming out of the, he didn't get a second deal from the Saints, and the Bengals were able to get it. So maybe they're looking to just kind of replicate that formula. We believe Dax Hill is going to be a star safety. We'll go out and get a prove-it guy on the 2nd wave of free agency to pair with them and hit the ground running.
And like I said, I feel like they've done really, really well in that secondary market at finding guys at value.
Sure.
And I'm looking right now at a list of guys that was kind of. You see who put this list together. Looks like
you guys keep going. Love you. I just had some thoughts on the Von Bell thing that I haven't been able to get out into the universe. Just dealing with pitchforks and whatever past couple days.
Twitter kindness.
Hi, Holly. Welcome to the show.
This guy, Chris Rowling on Bengals Wire put together a list of some guys here. Taylor Rapp from the Rams, but he's 26, so you're starting to get up there towards that, like, not that number, but like Julian Love from the Giants, he's 25. Juan Thornhill's 27. John Johnson III from the Browns is 28. And then the guy that everybody's keeps like posting about, Gardner Johnson from the Eagles, he's 25.
And I do agree. Crypt Keeper says, in Duke Tobin we trust. Let Duke Tobin cook. Let him cook. He's going to be all right. Like, I feel like we're used to this at this point, where they don't make these moves on day 1, day 2. I don't know why everybody thought that this was going to be different. Patrick Peterson, I'm glad they didn't sign Patrick Peterson to an exorbitant contract that he's going to be aging at the end of. And he goes to Baltimore, and so we'll have to play him twice a year, but whatever. So I don't know.
You think they're trying to working on Burrow's extension right now, and they want to get that done before?
I think they've been working on.
Moves?
I think they've been working on Burrow's extension for more than 365 days. I think that's why you saw Paycor end up with the stadium rights. I think that's why you saw the indoor bubble established. And
no, that was because of Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I was thinking. Thank you, Pat.
Whatever.
Thank you, Pat.
But no, I think that everything's going to be fine. I don't think that they're going to. They know that the window is. They're not stupid. They're lawyers. They know that the window is. While Joe Burrow is in the early stages of his career before he starts making dumb money, and Joe Burrow has come out and said, "I'm going to make sure my guys are around me." I think everything's going to be fine. Just breathe.
Yeah, I get it. You see other teams like that we're going to be in competition with, or we expect to be in competition with for postseason things and Super Bowls and this and that and the other. And like you see them start to make some moves, and the only moves you see here are, exits. One, obviously extension there with Jermaine Pratt, but like, so some people, you start getting like happy feet, and kind of why can't we like. That's it.
Look, if we wake up tomorrow morning and Joe Burrow is extended, and then they start making the moves that they wanted to make after they have the deal that they needed to make in place, I think everybody's going to just be A-okay with it.
It's fine.
I mean, I don't know. I find it hard to get like that worked up and get like. I mean, there's some people throwing around some crazy stuff at each other.
Correct.
And like, it just is what it is. Let it play out. Let's see where we're at. Maybe we sign a couple dudes. We'll hit the draft. See what we get out of the draft. I think that replacing Samaje Perine is something you can do in the draft. I don't know necessarily think you need. I mean, depending on what happens with like Mixon, I don't know. You mentioned like maybe I don't see it, but some people think that he's washed and that's like the end of it, or that he could be if his contract can't get reworked, which is whatever, like if that doesn't happen and they have to part ways to make some space for whatever reason, I don't think that that's really necessarily going to happen, but I think you can still replace a lot of that through the draft.
Ed, how do you spell here?
It depends which way you wanted to use it. Are you talking about here or there, or I hear you?
I hear you.
I hear you.
Yes.
Did I do that really?
HERE me out.
Did I do that really?
Hear me out. Yeah.
Raise your hand if you're surprised.
It's been a long day.
Come on, man.
Or you're just staying on brand.
I mean, it's the only way you could end this show is making live tweet typos during the broadcast.
I've been doing so good lately.
Yeah.
I think we all just stopped telling you about it.
No, I've been doing really good lately.
HERE me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
I don't have that fancy Twitter blue thing, so
I think you need a comma if you're going to do it that way. Hear me out.
Me out.
Me out. I'm gonna miss this.
So,
all right, Ed. Transition us out of here, Ed.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that, but okay.
Sorry, Steve. What'd you say?
Stop over the sound effect.
So the only thing I have to say about the Cincinnati Reds, because it's going to be a lot of movement between
is that they punted Ellie De La Cruz and Christian Encarnacion Strand out of camp about an hour ago.
Drives me crazy. What are we doing?
Jose Barrero. He's gonna. I don't know. I mean, like,
is Alejo Lopez still at the top at the major leagues?
I don't know. I wish Clay was around. He could. Probably
I know he was. I know he was DFA'd at one point, and they brought him back. I don't know. Whatever. Look, the only question I have for you guys, as we see some of these roster moves happen as training camp is getting closer to the end, 65.5 is, I believe, or was it 60.5? May have been 65.5. Either way, let's say I'm setting it at 65.5. You taking the over or the under?
They can't lose 100 games again, right?
Yeah, they can.
I don't.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so hard for me to even like
get hyped about this season.
Like let me put it to you this way. You remember when we were growing up and
opening day was hard to get.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm not saying that like obviously the Reds haven't been winning World Series or doing anything crazy like that, but like there's been times when the Reds have been like pretty good baseball team. But like for the baseball for like the school that I run like the baseball program and all that stuff for, I got the list of like we do kid glove games, right? Where like, you know, if people buy tickets and use that code, then like the school gets money back from it.
The guy from UC who tricked me with the thinking I won that arcade machine, he tried to get me to buy some kids tickets.
Oh, well, it's a usually like there's not a lot of games listed. It's like the first half of the season, like every game is a kid glove game that you can buy tickets to. I just
we had this project today in my class, and it was just a stupid little scenario, and the scenario in the book was how many hot dogs, basically how much money can the Reds make off of hot dogs this season. And like one of the things you had to figure out, of course, was what the attendance was going to be. And I said, well, there'll be 5 people at each game, so let's just do.
I was going to say 4. So
there'll be 5 people at each game. They'll each buy a half a hot dog. Yeah, nobody's going to go to the games again this year.
I don't think. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of people down there. It's still it is still like I still enjoy like going and watching baseball games. I think this pitch clock thing is going to be wild to see it play out. And I know like this is since we're talking about Reds and we don't have a very large slate of things to talk about Reds, and this is our last show ever. I'm just going to talk about this pitch clock thing that's going on.
Have at it.
And to me, like Corbin Burns, who this actually happened in a Reds game. So Corbin Burns pitches for the Brewers. So there was, I don't know if anybody's really been following along a lot. Like this pitch clock, there's it's like 30 seconds or 25 seconds, whatever. And then if the batter calls like a timeout, then they get a step out of the box, and then like the pitcher comes back in. Like obviously they got to throw before a second, but if the batter's not back in the box before there's 8 seconds left on the pitch clock, then it's an automatic strike because they have to give time for the pitcher to be ready. Yeah. So Corbin Burns, or Max Scherzer in a game, was doing a thing where he would go through his routine. He would get ready, get set. The batter would call a timeout, step out of the box. Max Scherzer would then stand there, ready to pitch, already through everything. And as soon as the batter would get back in the box and become what the MLB is calling engaged in the at-bat, which doesn't have a definition, so I'm sure that's going to be a ton of fun to watch whenever like a batter's like, I wasn't engaged, and the umpire says, I thought you were, or the pitcher says, I thought you were. And
you're probably not going to be allowed to argue any of this stuff, or it's automatic ejection anyway.
It's like this gray area of, is this a catch, is it not a catch, like football things, like this silliness. But I digress back to what I'm saying. So Max Scherzer would wait, they get in the box, bam, he would quick pitch. Well, he would just finish what he had already started in a timeout call. You can't do that, apparently. You're not even allowed to be set now. If a batter calls a timeout, the pitcher has to get off the mound or off the rubber and cannot be set. Then when the batter gets back in the box at 8 seconds, then the pitcher has to use, only has now 8 seconds to go through their entire. So now it's like putting it back on. It's just like going to be a horrible thing of games, but the batter is now more in control because they have their timeout that they can use,
unless the ump doesn't grant timeout,
unless the umpire. But now you're giving the umpire more control over the game, which is something I don't think any fan anywhere wants an official to have even more control over the game. Because I guess if you have a batter that is abusing it, that is like continually time. But what if a batter gets up there and gets set, and for whatever reason something's not right, a glove is undone, or like whatever, there's something going on that a bug flies in their eye, whatever, they need time, and they ask for time, and the umpire's like, nah, and then it's this automatic, now it's an automatic strike, and now the game's over. I mean, there's going to be some crazy stuff coming from this pitch clock,
especially in Cleveland with the mayflies. Man, that
happens down here.
Not to that extent.
I have pictures. I have pictures that I can send you of like when I took my boys down to Great American Ballpark during the Mayfly explosion, and they were like flying into the scoreboard and landing in our drinks, and like my kids were freaking out. It was great.
Wait until the cicadas for the Reds.
I was about to say the same thing. Wait till the cicadas come back and we have that clock.
So I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of the pitch clock. I think it's silly. I'm also not, obviously I've said it before over the years, like I don't really like replay a whole lot in a lot of things. I just think that you need to leave the human element in and let it be what it was, how it was forever.
Well, we can track things up to 3
Aaron,
inches, but we still have 70-year-olds out here with glasses trying to judge balls and strikes, trying to judge a split-second bang play at first base, trying to figure out if they touched home before the catcher had his shin guard down in the base path, and all these things happening at the same time. And that's just baseball. That's not even getting into football and basketball.
You can't do football. It doesn't. They just now put a chip in there. Remember, Aaron?
Jesus Christ! Don't get me started. Had to find a way to get a good old rant in, though.
See, my mom, she's also not a fan.
Just mom's not a fan of these changes.
I mean, the purists are not fans of all of the changes, and I think they'll get. I don't think this is the final iteration of what you're going to see with the pitch clock. I think that they will figure it out as things get by.
That's the other thing, though. Is like, it's very clearly, and like Corbin Burns brought this up, it's very clearly not ironed out yet. No. And you're going to put this rule that can have a very profound effect on the game, on the outcome of a baseball game, into effect, Jeff, and then try to figure it out as you go along. That's ridiculous.
Jeff, there was
spring training. If you can't get it right in spring training, scrap it, send it to the minor leagues, let them deal with it. That's not happening for big bajillions of dollars in championships. Just let it work out down there in whatever little trial leagues you've got, Jeff, and then when it's figured out, bring it up here to the major leagues. Until then, no.
There was a 60-game season just 2 years ago. There was an entire basketball season played in front of no fans in a bubble. Like, we're in different times now, man. Nothing is ever the same.
Man, those were the days.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. What I'm saying is, if you're going to institute a rule like this, one that can have such a profound effect, but then you want to like tweak it and move it around, like all I'm saying is by the time opening day comes around, if you do not have set in concrete what this is going to be and how it's going to work, then get rid of it until you
I don't want to see.
You can't change rules halfway through or be like, oh no, we kind of screwed this up here. And
I don't want to see a game decided on some pitch clock shenanigans. I don't.
A walk because of a.
It'll happen 3 times this year, and all 3 times it'll be the Reds who.
Worse than a balk, and it's going
on one side or the other.
Yeah.
Worse than a balk, and it's going to be far more than 3 times because you have 162 games for 30 different teams. It's going to be far more than 3 times this season for MLB.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be pretty awesome. I mean, it's gonna be on the Sports Center, not top 10.
Yeah,
I don't even know if they do that anymore, but if they do, it'll be there.
Right.
Well, as they try and figure it out, I think that they're going to run into one thing as they are working with rule changes, and it's going to be a theme as they try and figure out these rule changes.
It's hard.
So
glad you finally used something.
Just trying to play the hits here.
Yeah. Dog.
That that all said, Ed, do you have the bum of the week here? I don't see it anywhere.
No. Oh yeah, dude.
Sure you do. Let's
Hold on.
get there.
You're training like a damn bum, you know that? Bum. A bum. You are a bum. You're a bum. And that's all you'll ever be. A bum.
Well, that hurts, man.
All right. Ed, I don't know if you watched the FC Cincinnati game. I figured that would be your bum of the week as the guy was screaming on the throw-in.
That guy was wild. He wasn't going to be my bum of the week. I thought I screenshot that bum of the week, but now I can't find it.
My bum of the week is Ed for never doing wrestling after we made a whole segment for him in that regard, and not ever asking to do his 60 seconds of FC Cincinnati when we started even giving him that. But in all fairness, you are not a bum of the week. I love you.
Who's the bum of the week?
I will say the bum of the week for me is the Cincinnati Reds' entire front office for sending down Ellie De La Cruz and Christian Encarnacion Strand in a season that we don't know what the hell is going on, and we don't know who anybody is. Leave them up here. Figure it out. I don't know what they're doing. And the people who put in the pitch clock, I don't love it either. That's my bum of the week.
My bum of the week is the Bengals Twitter fan base that can't just I mean, anything in the last month and a half that has had the ability to have a negative overtone to it or a jump to conclusion moment.
It's a jump to conclusions, Matt. It's a mat with conclusions on it that you can jump to.
And they've all done it. And so I mean, I'm not here to say this person knows better than this person knows better than this person, but there has got to be maybe we need Twitter timeout. If enough people vote to you and time you out for a little bit, be look, you can talk about anything other than the Bengals for 2 hours while you take a chill pill.
I'm telling you, dude, I will stand on this hill and die on this hill. I do not think that a majority of the Bengals fan base is ready to win a Super Bowl yet. They get way too butthurt over the dumbest things. People are still upset. Kelsey was on Saturday Night Live the other night, and people were still upset because he made a joke about smoking pot in Cincinnati. It's just,
Jeff, they used to have timeouts. They were permanent, and then Elon Musk bought Twitter and took everyone out of timeout.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm not even saying that. I don't think you should get banned, but good Lord, maybe you're not allowed to talk about the Bengals for a little bit or talk about whatever it is that is
the mute button is your friend.
Also, Mr. Doink, I never reported a tweet.
He's on Ed's list of people that can meet him in Washington Park.
Kiss my fat ass.
Oh man.
Thanks for popping in the chat, Mom. We appreciate it.
Hi, Mom.
Before we get out of here, I just want to say that it's been.
Hold on, I have a bum.
Well, you weren't even on the screen.
The camera did its thing again. I don't know what's going on there. My bum of the week is a Chicago man who is suing Buffalo Wild Wings because he thought that they had some proprietary process of removing bones from the actual chicken wing. And so he was eating boneless chicken wings. and not just saucy nugs. Have you heard about this?
He thought that they were like
he thought they were real wings, just
every
deboned. Yeah.
That are, I mean, he is aware that like, okay,
yeah,
whatever. Good for him. I mean, I guess people do what they.
Buffalo Wild Wings customers are led to believe that boneless wings are made from wings of the chicken and have been deboned.
I'm sure there's some like meat from
Wing
a wing
pieces,
yeah,
right?
Wing bits. Like nobody's going in there because they think they're eating. I mean, maybe this guy is. I guess I don't know, but
how long has he been doing? How long has he been doing this before somebody told him, "No, you're wrong"?
Like, yo, man, he's like, man, look at this. Like, he's like, can you believe it? Like, you just see this guy like he's drinking. This probably was like at the Super Bowl. Like his buddy went and bought a bunch of these, from Buffalo, from B-Dubs, whatever, brought them in. He's like, man, these are great. Like, can you believe how they're like, for one, like these are really tiny chickens and they got to like go into the wing and they're pulling out, they get these little bones from these little tiny chickens. And you're like, his buddy was like, what are you talking about? And he's, yeah, like these are all chicken wings. It's the wing. And he's like, how does that even look like a chicken wing? Like, have you seen a chicken's wing? It doesn't even look like that. Ridiculous. Dude's like, I'm gonna sue. You're telling me that this is like mashed up, just a pink sauce McDonald's chicken nugget that they put good sauce on? Get out of here.
Also, congratulations to the FC Cincinnati for winning this weekend. Brenner scored a goal in the 63rd minute, beat the Seattle Sounders, who came in second place in their division last year. Guys, there's something happening here.
Ed, you got a WrestleMania preview or anything you want to throw out there?
No, who's fighting?
I thought our wrestling guy would know.
Well, did you guys see the video? Did you guys see the video last week of MJF taking that mom's water and throwing it on the kid?
Nope.
Say he thought it was thirsty.
All right. Well, for the final time, just want to thank everybody. It's been an incredible ride, and this was a lot of fun, and it's led to a lot of awesome connections and a lot of time spent with two great friends.
Absolutely.
But for the final time, this is Pardon the Punctuation. Signing out of here. I'm Aaron Smith for Jeff Howell, for Ed Mayhall. Goodbye, AAC. Good night, PTP.
Bye.
See ya.